So today we're going to be making a lanyard with rows of tulips, and to get started we need 3 different colors of yarn. So I have green, yellow, and white, and then we need a lanyard clasp, so we're going to be putting the yarn right into this little space right here. And then we also need a pair of scissors, and we're also going to need a crochet hook, and right now I have a 4mm crochet hook. And we're just going to set everything aside and get started with the white. So first we're going to make a slip knot with the white. And then we're just going to put our hook through that loop, and we're going to end up chaining 150. So let's just get started with our chain. Okay, so now that we have that done, we're going to be taking up this chain, and we're going to look for that top bit of the chain, and we're going to go all the way down just to make sure that the right part stays on the top all the way through. So this part is the top. We're just going to flip it around and go right into the back. So we're going to take our hook and we're going to first stick it through this clasp, the little part that I showed you before, and then we're going to stick it right through that back. So then we're going to wrap around and pull through. It's going to be a little difficult to pull through all 3 at once, so I suggest going through one at a time. So we first pull through that other side of the chain, then through the other 2, the clasp and the first side of the chain. So then we're just going to wrap around again, pull through, and then we just set that down, and we're going to get some scissors and cut off that white yarn. These are kind of dull, but I'll just cut right through in 1 second. And then we're just going to pull that hook all the way out and tighten that little knot right there. And to make it easier and make sure that those stay in place, we're going to tie our 2 remaining strings or loose ends together. And then while we're doing the next row, we just need to make sure that we hold these loose ends over the row and so we can weave them in. So we're going to be starting with green now, and we're going to be making a V-stitch with these. So first we're going to take up our yarn, we're going to stick our hook right through that first stitch, and we're going to pull the green through. So just drape it over however you want to do and just pull it through. And then you're going to pull it all the way through and make a knot with the rest of that green so that that's in place and you're not holding 3 pieces of yarn at the same time. So now we're just going to pick up our hook and stick it right through that same hole that we just put the green through, and make sure you keep those 3 over the white, and you're going to pull a green through, and then you're going to chain up 3. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, so then we'll get started with our V-stitch. And in order to do that, we're just going into that next stitch for the first one. We're going to wrap around and go through, and wrap around and pull through, and then wrap around again. We're just going to pull through the first 2, and then wrap around and pull through the last 2. Okay, so that's our first double crochet, and then we're just going to chain up 1. We're going to do that exact same thing that we just did in the same stitch. So we're going to wrap around, go through that same stitch, wrap around and pull through, then wrap around and pull through the first 2 things, and then pull through the next 2. Once that's done, we're going into the 3rd stitch from that one. So go skip 2 and go into the 3rd, and you're going to wrap around and go right in there. And pull through, and then wrap around and pull through 2 of them, and then wrap around and pull through 2. Then you're just going to do the same thing. You're going to chain up 1 right after that, and then you're going to wrap around and do another double crochet in that same space. Make sure you're holding down your ends as you're going. Alright, and you're always going to pull on that green just to make sure it's tight. So we're going to repeat that pattern all the way through to the end of the chain. Once you reach your last stitch, you're just going to do 1 double crochet into the final one. So you wrap around, find your last stitch, and go right in there. And then you're going to wrap around and pull, and then wrap around and pull through 2 of them. But when you reach only 2 left on the hook, you're just going to put that down and grab your yellow yarn, and we're going to weave that in before we cut the green. So take your yellow yarn and hold on to it, wrap around, pull through those last 2 greens, and always pull on any yarn that you can. So you're going to pull on all 3 strands that are hanging, and then you're going to chain up 3, just to make sure that this is in place before you cut that green. So now you're going to cut the green off, and you're going to do the same thing that you did with the white and green in the previous round. You're going to hold on to those over the stitch just to make sure you can weave those in. So now we're just going to pick up our stitches, and we're going to do a cluster stitch. So make sure to put those loose ends over the last green stitches. I'm so sorry I lost the video of me doing the first cluster stitch, so I'll just teach you with this second one, but just make sure you're holding over, you're weaving in those ends that we talked about, those loose ends. So to begin, we're going to basically do double crochet, so we're going to wrap around and go through that V-stitch, pull through the first 2, but we're going to stop there, wrap around again, and go through that V-stitch. And we're going to do that 1 more time after this one, so for a total of 3 times. And then as soon as you have 4 things left on your hook, you're going to wrap around and pull through all 4 of them. After that, you're just going to chain up 2, 1, 2, and then you're just going to do the same thing in the next V-stitch, and you're going to go all the way to the end, but don't finish yet. So once you reach the end, we're just going to do a basic double crochet in that last space. And then you'll just chain up 1, set your yarn down, and you're going to cut off that yellow. And you're going to pull your hook all the way through and tighten up that knot. And we're going to go back to our white yarn to seal up these 2 sides of the lanyard. So to know where you're sealing up your lanyard, you just need to fold over and connect these 2 sides, and you're just going to put the white into that edge, starting with the last yellow flower that you just did. So you're going to pull the white through both sides of the lanyard, and then you're just going to make a knot again like how we did before. Next, you're just going to flip this lanyard over, and we're going to go on to the back side, and we're going to take the crochet hook and stick it in that same hole you just tied your knot in, and you're going to pull some of the white yarn through, which might be a little bit difficult. Make sure your loose ends are draped over, and you're going to stick your crochet hook into the next stitch, and you're going to pull some of the yarn through. It will be difficult, and you may need to do this a few times before you get it right, but afterwards it'll get easier. So once you pull through and get 2 stitches on your hook, you're going to wrap your yarn around and pull through both of them, and you're going to basically start doing single crochets in each of these little spaces. And once you've made your way all the way to the end, all you're going to do is chain up 1 and then pull your yarn all the way through to make that nice knot. So for this last bit, all you're going to do is you're going to try and pull that little loose end through the space in the clasp from the beginning. And once you've done that, you're just going to weave that in, And if you haven't weaved in that little yellow one too, you'll weave that in right now, and then you're finished.